Let's get into some of the big games this weekend. Starting out west, the NFC West, Seattle Seahawks at the Arizona Cardinals. It's a really good matchup. You've got the Cardinals, they're at home. I think, Seattle's kind of had some quirky games at Arizona, even when the Cardinals weren't that good. And now they look like a much better all-around team. They're coming off that throttling of the Cowboys. Throttling. On Monday Night Football. Seattle's also had a week off. You get Russ in an indoor environment. There's rumors that they're going to try to sign Antonio Brown.
Right. What is with that?
I think the Seahawks have. It's not that they've tried to get playmakers through the years. John Schneider's. He's gone after
Josh Gordon.
Josh Gordon, but he traded for Sidney Rice years ago. He traded for Jimmy Graham,
Percy
Harvin. This has been their mentality.
But usually it's because they haven't had them.
Right, but
they have them.
But I think they have them, and they're just like, man, we are seeing how valuable this is. I mean, if it takes a couple Chris Carson carries away to feed Antonio Brown with DK Metcalf and with Tyler Lockett and with David Moore, are you kidding me?
Have the Chiefs just started like an arms race in the NFL? That's like, if you're good, so Kansas City is the New England, right? They're the team you have to beat if you want to make a Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl, right? So if you're the Seahawks, you're like, all right, we might get through the NFC, but then we're going to have to face Kansas City in a Super Bowl, and they have, oh my God, look at all the weapons. We might have a quarterback that can go toe-to-toe with them.
That's it.
So we need more than DK and Tyler Lockett and David Moore and apparently Chris Carson. Like, we need to add Antonio Brown to the mix and the train wreck of a headache he brings.
I think that's it, though, man. We spend our entire offseason, draft analysis, free agent analysis, saying go 4 deep at receiver / tight end, 5 deep,
And if he didn't come with any baggage, I'd be all for it. But wow, that's a risk to be taken when you've already got a pretty good setup.
Look, you have to take some of the off-field aside, take the locker room component out of it, maybe.
How? That's the whole thing.
What's the downside?
That. You can't park the downside for a minute. What's the downside? What are you talking about? That's the downside.
Well, how does that affect things?
How does it affect things? How did it affect the last 2 teams he blew up?
The only thing it affects is if you prepared to have Antonio Brown and then you don't have him. No, so for the Raiders.
What if you bring him in and there's a bunch of people that warm to him and then you have to boot him out the door because he goes crazy again?
Then you're the 5-0 Seahawks that you are right now with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett.
You're the 5-0 Seahawks that you are right now, except you just pissed off a bunch of people that got to be his buddy and now he's gone.
It doesn't matter.
Of course it matters.
Players' feelings don't matter.
Of course they matter.
They do not.
Yes, they do.
They do not. It only affected, say, the Raiders last year because they had nobody to replace them. It affected the Patriots last year because they had nobody to replace them. You take this chance because the payout is so much greater than the downside.
How much greater is it when you already have DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett?
I think, they had Josh Gordon last year for a little bit, and he only showed up in a couple games, but I think that's okay. I mean, I think you have a couple games where maybe DK does get shut down by somebody or doesn't have a great matchup, right? And it's like, I can go to Antonio Brown now. I think having options, the best teams, I think, have options to win individual games differently. All right? I don't want to spend too much time on Antonio Brown because he's not there. But the Seahawks passing game has been incredible. Russell Wilson right now are currently our highest graded quarterback now that Aaron Rodgers had that rough game.
Stinker.
Can Arizona actually slow down this offense?
No, they can't.
I don't think so.
I'm also, so the thing that's interesting is that side of the ball to me. They are kind of going in a similar way to Seattle in terms of they don't have any pass rushers anymore. Like Chandler Jones is down. He was their primary source of pass rushers. So suddenly it's let's fire Budda Baker on the blitz.
And Budda was making plays all over the field Monday night. That was awesome.
He's one of those fun guys. You see it at every single level. There's somebody that just plays the game at a different speed.
Yeah.
And like most people, when they're running towards somebody to make a tackle, ease up before they get there, right? You don't run through the dude because, I mean, usually there's breaking down or whatever, but like you don't just run and accelerate and keep accelerating through the body that you're about to contact. Budda Baker does. He doesn't slow down. And sometimes it's going to be bad and he's going to miss a tackle because of it, because just before he arrives, the guy, takes a half step either way and you hit a soft shoulder. But when it works, it just looks so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite things in football is to watch a safety have an all-around game like Budda Baker had, where he had a forced fumble. He had an interception. He had a sack. 2 other pressures. They're using him as a blitzer. He blitzed 11 times in that game. So that is the similarity to Seattle there is how they're using Jamal Adams. And it's because why do you have to blitz Budda Baker 11 times? Because Chandler Jones is hurt, yes, and no one else has a pass rush grade above 70.
Yeah, they had
that's the issue.
9 different guys rush the passer more than 10 times in that game. And another 2 rush the passer 8 and 9 times, respectively. So they are sending everybody to try and make up for that lack of pure one-on-one ability to win a pass rush.
From an Arizona standpoint, I do think one of the interesting developments is Hassan Reddick, who they did not pick up his 5th-year option, former first-round pick, had a really rough transition to linebacker his first 3 years in the league, and now he was a college edge rusher, right?
Yeah.
And they're actually sending him. They've sent him 111 times this year. They did that a little bit more his rookie season, but they're trying to get something out of him, and that's been better than having him try to play zone coverage, which he really struggled with. So
that's always where he should have been playing.
Yeah, as kind of one of those guys that we always talk about at draft time, like, oh, this guy's going to create third down indecision for your offense. But either way, the point that Arizona has to scheme up pressure, it does leave holes on the back end, and I think it's Dre Kirkpatrick and Patrick Peterson on the outside, both grading under 60. Dre had that pick where he form tackled CD Lamb before picking it up.
That was amazing.
But that could be a mismatch for Seattle.
The other thing this does is put Isaiah Simmons on the field more because things have had to change because Chandler Jones isn't there anymore. So Simmons is actually earning some more playing time, which is at the moment a concern because he's basically a walking bullseye at this point, right? Like he is a potential weak link in that secondary until he shows otherwise. And he got away with it. I mean, I don't say he got away with it. Dallas didn't exploit it, but we've seen teams exploit it before this season. The Seahawks feel like a team, particularly with Russell Wilson, that will target that more if you give him the bullseye on defense to go after.
Other side of the ball, Seattle, as we talked about their issues getting pressure. It's been a little bit better in recent weeks, but there's nobody up front that just wins one-on-ones. Like if they picked up an Ngakoue or if they traded for a J.J. Watt or something, I could see that being a thing that they would be investigating in Seattle. But that matchup against Arizona, Kyler Murray, I always talk about his floor being high because of rushing. That was him the other night. He was like 9 for 24, 2 big passes that were kind of wide open, and then a whole bunch of yards on the ground, and their offense scores a ton of points. So I do think that's a huge factor, is the fact that he can scramble for 60 or 70 yards in a game and kind of cover up a 9 for 24 outing. Yeah,
his passing hasn't taken the step people thought it would. And we kind of highlighted that before the season. Said, look, there's some numbers from his rookie year that are not tremendously encouraging in terms of how he's going to progress from a passing standpoint, right? His performance in rhythm and without pressure and first read, all these kinds of things weren't good. And those are the stable things. They're the things that don't tend to take giant leaps one year to the next. And that's kind of what we've seen. Like he hasn't taken the step forward, and people are sort of saying he's a worse player because of it. But the point is that he's stepped up as a runner, and I think he has the most scramble yards in the NFL by a distance. He has the second most designed rushing yards behind only Lamar, and it's like 10 yards. Yeah. So overall, he has a commanding lead in terms of overall quarterback rushing yards. Plus, he's got 6 rushing touchdowns. Like he's become this goal line nightmare in terms like a trump card, right? You get down to the goal line, and it's crap. Kyler Murray is this thing that we have to work. Like he's a Cam Newton down by the goal line, except instead of power running over your head, he's taking it around the edge and making defensive backs fall over without touching him. Like he's become this red zone, end zone matchup problem for a team who's not used to dealing with it.
Seattle's favored by 3.5.
Yeah.
On the road. I'm leaning Seattle, but I think if Arizona's going to win this game, I'm leaning Seattle to cover as well. If Arizona's going to win this game, I think you're going to have all of their offensive stuff is going to come together. The deep shots to Isabella and Kirk. DeAndre Hopkins is going to make some big boy plays. By the way, do you think, I don't know if you've watched closely enough on Hopkins, does he look quicker this year?
I have thought that. I've also, it's tough, right? it's difficult to know if he does look quicker or if he's being used in ways that the Texans didn't necessarily
more
use
space instead of just vertical routes and everything.
Yeah, and the scheme generally, I think, is giving him space to work with that he didn't necessarily have before.
He's forced 9 missed tackles after the catch.
And he always kind of had that skill. You would see these plays every now and again in Houston. It's like, wow, I didn't kind of know DeAndre Hopkins could do that.
Right.
But he can. It's just that if you give him the space to do that instead of just feeding him a million hitch routes, like he can make some plays. And now we're seeing what happens when you spread everything wide and he's got more space to operate in. He's getting the ball with more room, which lets him run off the catch more, and you see some of that.
Speed and agility all just look top-notch right now. So I think this is, if Arizona's going to win, I think you're talking about Nuke with like 12 catches for $150 and really taking over. I do like Seattle in this one, though, and also, the Seahawks staying hot here.
I mean, those deep shots that they didn't hit, except for the one to Christian Kirk, if they can connect on a couple of those, I mean, those are game-changing plays, right? The first one, actually, honestly, they both kind of look like Isabella made a balls of them to me. Yeah. I think those were both very catchable passes from Kyler Murray. The first one, I don't know if Isabella lost it or if he just didn't bend his route early enough to come across the field, but that looked kind of where it should have been thrown. And then the second one, I have no idea why you would break off your route and head towards the sideline 25 yards downfield. I don't have any idea what the hell he was doing there, but those were two plays that could have been, immediate field flipping passes.
Thank you. Speaking of our terms, send our friend Andrew Siciliano a text. First off, congratulate him for being COVID-free.
I did.
Second,
I sent him a tweet to congratulate him.
How come you have everybody's phone number and I don't? You have Joe Thomas's number?
Yeah. Me and Joe text.
But tell Andrew, if Isabella makes a play, we need a Russian pencil.
Yes.
Okay, so that'll be this week's Easter egg on the DirecTV Red Zone.
He got false positive.
Yeah.
Had to sit out. Had to take a seat on the bench.
I've been there.
Yeah?
Mine wasn't false positive.
Right, it was a positive.
Yeah, but it was a positive 2 weeks after I had my symptoms.
Yeah.
Positives can stay there forever.
That's still kind of different from a false positive.
It's a positive, but it's a latent one.
He was incorrectly told that he had COVID and had to park himself for a week of action. You were correctly told that you had COVID just after it made any difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same thing, kind of. All right. Where are you going with this one? Seattle and Arizona?
I am taking Seattle, and I don't know if they'll cover or not. Oh, that's how confident I am in this bit.
That's a good answer. Weird stuff happens in Arizona, and weird stuff happens in division games.
Yeah.
So I could see Arizona pulling this one off. Plus, I mean, every Seattle game is weird in general. So.
Thanks for watching the PFF YouTube channel. And if you want to subscribe, all you have to do is push the button. Don't forget everything you get. A little fantasy, push the button. A little green line for the gambling aspects of the game, push the button. College football, push the button. The YouTube channel from PFF.